Hello everyone, hope everyone's doing alright. We're going to be kicking off. I've got Pal here who's going to cast the RAF versus Army Valorant game. And yeah, so previously Pal, who won?
Previously, it was the Army team that won 13-7 in yesterday's Insomnia Open match. So we're going to see whether the RAF can get their revenge through today's game. Arguably, I think for these teams, this is probably the more important result of the two. Neither team really would have been looking to see much success in the Open event, considering the quality of the teams. However, given this rivalry, they've played a couple of times before, and actually this is probably the best side both teams have been able to put out recently. The RAF have more experience, given they've been playing in some civilian tournaments recently over the last couple of weeks. They're down one or two key players, however I'm expecting them to be able to put up a strong performance today against a stronger Army team too.
Yeah, and of course we've seen the time and time again where Valorant matches have come close between all tri-service and yeah, I mean, me and you have worked together quite a lot on Valorant, and you know, both within the military and outside, and you know, we see these games over and over again where, you know, the teams are unpredictable, and again, literally one change could cost the entire game, and yeah.
Absolutely, I think it's when you've got teams where there can be fluctuations in performance, and they haven't necessarily nailed down all the fundamentals, or frankly, we're just playing Valorant in general. You see it at Tier 1 as well, all the way down to our sort of level. There's always room for an upset. There's always room for someone to have that star moment, to have that impact, and create that value for their team to take a round, a map, or a series under their control.
It's exactly that, and also we also see it time and time again where, you know, we have the top fragger of one game, the next game could be bottom of the pile. Just some people's maps are, you know, they have their maps and they have their weak ones, and hopefully we don't see any of that and we get a really close game.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm hoping for a good one. I'm wanting to see some big moments. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of whiffs that I can make a mockery of at the same time. I think at the moment we're just waiting for some tech issues to sort out, and then we'll be good to go straight into it. So, if you were to make any predictions, Ace, what would your predictions be for this match?
I'd like to see an overtime. I'd like to see an overtime, but I don't know, if they beat them 13-7 last time, then, you know, is it going to be that close again? What map did they play last time?
I don't know what map they played last time. I think they're going to go for a sort of map veto process in the chat, and they'll come to a conclusion on what map they're going to play this time. Hopefully it's not the same as we've already experienced yesterday. So
yeah. Is everyone loving these headsets?
I mean,
that's me.
We can hear you now across everything, so
let's mute them in the old chat.
You can turn yourself off in party chat. That would be ideal.
That was
there we go.
That was very loud.
One of the members of the Army Valorant team trying to broadcast himself and
he's muted now.
Improve his own self-promotion. So,
he's well muted.
Hopefully we'll get ourselves in and started at some point soon once all the players are ready. Be interesting to see for those here watching who they think is going to do well. If we can have anybody that's in the chat, I can see little D's in there. Hello, mate. Good to see you again.
Brody.
Who do we think in the chat is going to be winning this game? Because realistically, this is not a result or a fixture that we've got a lot of data on. It could definitely go either way, depending on what maps the individual teams are strong on. Army team will get this easy apparently. RAF Esports, you got anything to say about that?
Oh, not a peep from the RAF. There's nothing from them.
Who's playing? If the RAF loses, I'll sign the Army contract. Well, there you go. There's someone that's already made a very large commitment. That could be a pretty significant change of lifestyle and career, that's for sure.
Get that transfer in.
Yeah, whether you'd want to commit that to a single map of Valorant, I'm not so sure. Who's playing for the Army team? You'll see hopefully shortly, but we've got Nolex, Tango, Mundo, Katmar, Joe, and Sebrov. Whereas for the RAF team, we have Sam, Owen, Ixi, Corsanthia, and Gunnar Kez. Hopefully I've not butchered any of their names as I've gone through any of that, seeing them for the first time.
Obviously, Sebrov comment time and time again. His streams, I watch those quite regularly, and you know, he's always on the grind, trying to get up those. Get up that skill and get that rank up. I'm not sure what ranks we have on either team.
relatively close. They're not, certainly for the Army team, it's mostly sort of hovering around Ascendant. I think it's relatively similar for the RAF team, sort of fluctuating between sort of high plat and Ascendant as well. So relatively balanced. Hopefully we'll see that in the performances coming out from both sides. Most things are equal. They've got the same ping. They're here. They're on LAN. This is what separates the men from the boys. The good players from the far better players. Those that can perform on LAN and can show it when they're not comfortable with the setups that they're not used to. That shows you where the skill gap comes in. Right, hopefully that should make a bit of a difference and people can actually start to hear me now. Seb, thank you for that. Right, I think we're getting close to being able to start. If we can have one representative from the team just confirm.
Just trying to get a balance that's, you know, not too loud and not too quiet, but yeah. We'll see, we'll see. We'll be making a start shortly. We're just getting the last details put in, and yeah, we can kick off.
Right, we shall begin. We'll get ourselves into agent selects. We'll see what compositions both teams decide to run. Whether they go for something similar to their performances from yesterday, or whether they want to go for a slight deviation to throw the others off. Let's see. At the moment, we can see the RAF going for a relatively unusual composition here, potentially with the introduction of 2 Sentinels, both the Chamber and the Killjoy. You expect some sort of initiator to be picking up from Gunnar Kez there, perhaps, whereas from the defending team, the Army team in this case, going for a no duelist triple initiator comp this time. We have got a Reyna locked in from the RAF. That's going to be an extremely important win condition for them today. You need your Reyna players to be getting kills if you want to commit to that sort of pick. On the other side, we've got Mundo now hovering the potential Yoro pick, and now he's gone for the slightly more sensible pick of an Omen. And yes, it looks like if Catmar Joe locks in this chamber, it's going to be a very, very significant contrast of styles, I'd say, Ace. It's going to be one team who's playing slower defaults, perhaps a composition that's more focused on their defense side, knowing that they're starting on that side. Whereas for the RAF, it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to try and make the most of and exploit the extremities, playing with those 2 Sentinels, and perhaps I'd imagine we're probably going to see a bit of a mid-default here coming from them on attack, trying to get their Omen, their Reyna, their KO up through mid, try and find some sort of value off those agents with all 3 of those different flashes. But we'll see. Time to get ourselves into the pistol rounds.
Yes, and we also, you know, we know you as the strat man, and so I'm waiting to hear some of the strats come out of, you know, what your predictions are for this, and that mid default does look quite likely.
Yeah, you can see at the moment the RAF team, they're sending most of their Sentinels up towards top to mid. They're getting their chamber trademarks down, they're setting up basically their flank, so it gives them a foundation from which they can actually attack from that's safe. They've got that flank protection, they're able to actually go aggressive in front of them, take space without the worry of any of these Army players getting in behind them.
What? I
can't hear you, mate.
I can't.
Also, here.
Try that, mate. You have to be really close to the mic, but
I have to be really close to the mic. That's fine by me. Right, here we go. We can see the looks of it. It's actually going to be more of an A split than we're expecting here. Owen going towards there. Severov gets his information out early, but we can see the main pack of the RAF team here pushing up towards A main, taking you off on the field. Tango just holding the flank. Catmar Joe, he's already been tagged.
I can't use that.
Try and hold this space. Mundo.
Shadows.
Take contact here. No Lex, no utility left on him, so whatever he's going to have to do to stall this push, potential push at least from the RAF team, is going to be all down to him and his ghost. Mundo holding that paranoia before they execute. Here they come. Flash comes out. Icy Dixie trying to get just get one. Mundo and Cat Mojo able to pick up two. Nolex is able to get one for himself. Gets a third as well. And it's all down to Nolex himself. Getting the 4K with that Ghost alone. We saw that utility get used really, really early on there, at least just from that solo player. But what was perfect there was seeing how Mundo was able to set up that paranoia usage on the utility usage on that Reyna flash coming in from the RAF team, which just completely stalled their ability to get into the site.
That's a good spot.
Now, we'll see how the RAF react to that, and whether they decide they want to potentially go towards B here, if they know they're coming up against that strong KO Omen defense on A. But it looks like that's exactly what they're going for. But this time, they're running into the Fade Sofa.
And it looks like almost a half buy here for the side of the army, and it's unlikely that the RF, you know, wouldn't expect that.
We found one.
Yeah, you've sort of got to expect that here. You can see here that actually the RAF team, they've not fought this really. Owen's looking for a shot there. Mundo's peeked him. They know they're on pistols. The army team can play relatively relaxed and relatively passive here. Tango trying to look for a bit of impatience with Severov. Mundo moving into the smoke. This is a nice little reposition here. Can they catch off these two RAF players from A? No exploit comes in. Tango is able to get the job done.
Standing ahead.
And just confirms that there's no
Found
more
them.
pressure to be made other than that RAF Reyna. Catmar Joe holding down mid by himself. He's got that chamber teleport, but oh, what a shot from Sam! An instant double dink taking out Catmar Joe, and it completely leaves open all of mid for this ace. Nolex, he does get it first. Along with Fowler.
One enemy remaining.
He's dropped, however, but Fowler again on the Omen. He's able to get 3 ace. That's sort of what you'd be expecting in that sort of rounds. You've got the anti-eco, you're up, you've got your Spectres, you've got your half-bar, you're up against pistols only. You're hoping that you're not really going to lose any more than 1 or 2 there. This is the crucial round. If the army team can get away with winning this one as well, they're going to be in a really, really strong economical position to take the next couple of rounds afterwards. But we would expect, given the buy and given the economic value of the RAF's weaponry, they should be able to come away with this one.
I like to. Oh, well, very loud. I'd like to think so, and both teams now looking to take a decent amount of buying, but on the side of the army, funds are going to be a little more pretty.
See what Severov and Tango are doing really, really well here is they've dropped into a perfect little setup, but at the moment not managed to catch it. But the army team have gone what we expect on a bonus round, some sort of aggressive defensive play to try and get themselves in towards a main, taking the map control off the attacking team and make use of some shorter range engagements. Alright, they've got themselves in towards A. You've got Corsanthia slowly lurking through here, potentially going to catch off Tango and Severov here. Just confirming that they're relatively safe. Severov does win that 1v1 against Corsanthia, and now they're left at 2 versus 4. There's no need for them really here to save, so they expect him to pick up this Vandal and try and give it a shot. They've got 1 Haunt, they've got 2 Prowlers, one of which will be used to clear out Heaven here.
A slight retake's going to be challenging here for the side of the army, but there are 2 members left on their team, and it will be held quite strongly here by the RAF, who will get some intel there. One goes down, Gunner takes out Tango, and he wants to secure a second one. Owen taking out Seaprof, securing that first win round for the RAF.
There you go, exactly what you described, exactly what you expect. You now see that both teams are going to have a full buy here. So what that means is they've all got the utility they need, they've all got the abilities that they can possibly buy, and they've all got the rifles, the better rifles in the game. So here, this is the first crucial swing round. Depending on who wins this, they're likely to get the upper hand in this first sort of early quarter of the game.
We can see, if you just pop the scoreboard out, the full buy from both teams.
Bring them down.
It's a mixture of Vandals and Phantoms.
So here we can see exactly what we were thinking, we were expecting from this RAF team. You can see some presence in towards mid. They've thrown some smokes to try and apply a little bit of pressure, deny the Army team's ability to gain any information about what's going on in mid, and now they're stacking up towards A main, and it's going to have to be on Nolex and Mundo here, with hopefully a nice little flash setup. Off the contact, Nolex loses the first drop, first fight. However, Mundo is able to get one.
Spike down A.
Now we start to see the rotates in. Mundo is starting to control it, is able to teleport out. However, this lockdown is going to do a lot of damage and catch him out here. Oh, they're going to be able to hunt him down. Let's see it from his perspective. Mojo steps in to help his teammate out, and he is able to protect him long enough to keep him alive. And now we're into a 4v4 retake here. Mojo tries to do his best to put that fight in his favor, but now it ends up with a 3v4 in the favor of the RAF. Tango up against Gunner Kez. Taking that Joe, now he has to cover it.
We see the situation again with a 2v4 situation, but it'll make it a 1v3. Oh my goodness. Tango, they know where he is. They've just got to rotate around here and try and get the pick.
Right here. Out of charges.
This is not one you'd expect, let's be honest.
Absolutely not.
The man has a lot of talent, but there's not much of a chance here of him getting away with any more than that. Some rounds straight to the torso. So there you go. That's the first big swing round one. So now what you'll see is actually, because the Army have less credits there on the right-hand side of the scoreboard, they've got less money with which they can afford a buy. So you'll expect them here to just buy a couple of smaller weapons and probably essentially forfeit the round. They're perfectly happy with losing this round. They'll try and do as much damage, especially economic damage, as possible. Force the RAF to buy or spend a lot of money buying into the next round. But yeah, realistically, you'd expect the RAF to walk away with this one pretty comfortably.
Yeah, it's much better to sacrifice a round for the sake of a winning one, almost with a much higher chance. It's like buying a half buy in this situation than costing, you know, unnecessary funds.
See here, they're going for quite a slow default, a personal favourite of mine, playing just a patient game, waiting for the Army team. They know they're on anti-eco, just to see if they're actually going to give them anything. See if they'll beat them anything, and that's the first one to go. Owen making his way in, and now you can see they're starting to stack towards B. Owen coming in front. Cynthia's managed to find Katmar Joe towards CT, and it's going to be down to Tango. He does manage to pick up his own, just with the Sheriff in his hand. Now can he pick up the second one? It's close, but he doesn't win that fight. And now it's just Nolex and Mundo left in a 1-2 versus 4.
Spike planted.
Catches the paranoia, but isn't able to get much more than that. Nolex doing his best now to see how much economic damage he can actually do. As we said, the value of this is forcing a team with with greater money to expend more money now buying into this round. This is another one of the buy rounds they expect, the swing rounds, where it's a 50-50 chance. Okay. Now, we'll see whether the slower default of the RAF team gains any more value now. We'll see whether the Army team are able to adapt to what they've seen so far and make a sort of adjustment off the back of that. See whether they can take some space, deny some space from the attacking team quickly. Mundo throwing a one-way for a main. This is exactly what you want. You want the defending team taking space as quickly as they can do, especially if you know that the attacking team are playing quite a slow default. And at the moment they are. They're just sat outside A main, waiting to see if an opportunity presents itself, like it did last round, to pick up that first blood. Moving in, the first flash comes in from Nolex and not able to do much. Owen does manage to escape out of B. And the first 2 kills go the way of the RAF. Now it's all going to be down to Katmar Joe by the looks of it to try and defend this A side for any second. Does manage to pick up one, looks to get his second and does get exactly that and manages to get himself away into safety. A perfect play from him.
Teleport's gone.
He knows the value that he's already managed to achieve, and now it's left in a 3 versus 3 with all 3 of the Army players managing to hold themselves in a situation where they're not giving anything away. Now that the spike is planted, they know that they can move in. They know what their target is.
It's exactly that, and now the Army trying to make it worth their safe round. A 3v3 situation with health bars looking very similar on either team, but the Army will make it a 3v2 as Gunner goes down.
Several about to swing on the smoke. Monjo's
enemy
been taking
remaining.
a lot of the attention his way, but Tango's the man to get the job done. Solid trades there coming in from the Army team. And they're able to get that second buy round. So now we'd expect to see what happened previously, but this time the other way around. So the RAF are going to go onto a slightly weaker buy. No, not. They've won enough rounds in a row that actually they have sufficient money to make this another rifle round. So both teams, again, going to have enough money to buy their rifles and to buy all of the abilities that they need. Another 50-50 round. Which way is it going to go this time, Ace?
I mean, it's hard to tell. A timer going out there. Not quite sure why.
I think it looks a bit, just a little bit of lag being experienced by both sides, so we'll give them a chance to hopefully sort a few issues. So we'll take this time out now to have a chat about what we've seen so far and what we'd expect. So from a defending side on this map, you've got a choice. You can either sort of play for mid, which is quite difficult, or you can go for the slightly easier options and try and maintain both A main and B main control. And that's what we've been seeing. We've had Sebroff and Tango on the Fade and the Sova trying to deny players like Owen, players like Sam taking space in B main. And on the other side, you've had Nolex and Mundo on the KO and the Omen respectively, trying to deny Ixing, Gunnar, Kez and Chrysanthia that space in A main. And that's exactly what their game plan is. Take the space away from them, deny it, and then fight for it. Challenge them. Challenge them in the early game so that they don't build up that momentum. Now, it's sort of been working. So far, the RAF are doing relatively well. They've picked up 3 rounds so far. One of them was a really crucial buy round.
Teşekkürler.
And
Thank
this
you.
is going to be a
You
key
want
one,
to
I think.
play? Let's play.
We can hear the tour de force coming out there. Now let's see what value these guys can get from it.
It's really vital that Chamber uses that towards the board as best he can. Make the use of it. Those rounds, you know, an easy ace for a good Chamber.
So Owen here holding their flank towards mid, whilst the rest of the pack walk up and try and play a sort of contact hit towards A main by the looks of it. They've applied this pressure. Now what they want to do is they want to get out. They know they've conditioned the Army team to these A hits off the back of this A main pressure, and now they're trying to sell this fake. And we'll see whether the Army team are actually able to recognize this or adapt. You'll be looking at players like Tango and Sebroff here to hold this crossfire using their utility, trying to give themselves an advantage. Sebroff does get the first. And now it's Mundo and Tango in the situation. Tango gets one. Sebroff managed to get themselves out.
The trades are going out and both teams are looking like they're going to be...
Sebroff, what a shot!
Spike
A
down.
beautiful flick from Steve of a 2v2 situation
Last
now.
player standing. 30 seconds left.
No longer a 2v2.
No longer, I'll eat my words.
We're back down into a 1 versus 2 with Sebroff with a lot of work to do.
One
He does
enemy
see the
remaining.
peak of Chrysanthea's head. And now he's got himself into a 1 versus 1. Can he get his 4th kill of the round and secure it for his team? He knows that the opposition player
10
hasn't got
seconds
long
left.
to plant. And Gunners is going to have to
Spike
do
planted.
exactly that just now. Here, Gunners making a smart decision, closing that door, using his Molotov to deny space in heaven, just to make sure that he has to cover as few angles as possible here on this retake. He does have his 0 point available, and he does also have his ultimate. Not something I'd expect him to use, at least on the ultimate side, but I would expect perhaps this 0 point to come out just for a little bit of information. But now he knows exactly where his opposite man is. Sebroff jogs down to Jen. He's going to have to clear a lot of corners here before he even gets close to tapping this and defusing this spike. Taps, goes to clear hell. Does he get the read? He sees him, and Sebroff with a clutch, finishing his 4K for the round and getting the 4th round for his team too.
A very close defuse nonetheless.
Did they really?
Not much time there for Seabrook, really. Perfect timing.
A man of a cold heart. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's been in this situation many times in his ranked games before. He's not worried. He
There's
knows
no
how much
sweat on
time
those
he's got.
palms.
Absolutely not. Now, would I expect there to be any sweat on the palms or the brows of the RAF team? No, not so far. They may have lost that round, but they've got a pretty good buy here. Again, probably another 50-50 round, considering they've had a decent success so far. They've built up their bank, and they can go at this again. If they were to lose this, they're probably going to have to eco the next round. But so far, 3 rounds compared to 4 attacking attempts, not bad at all.
Now, this has been as close as I wanted it to be. I think I asked for this.
You did, yeah, it looks like your prediction's almost coming true here. So we can see Mundo pushing up quite close to this smoke.
Powerless.
The KO ultimate goes out,
You should run.
and a killjoy being applied.
Nolex is going to have a lot of work to do here. He can hear them coming out the side already. There's not much time to play with. He does get it off his man. Looks for a second, but isn't able to capitalize off the back of it. And now the army team is coming through. Tango's kept that ult for now. He's going to try and deny the plant, and he gets the kill off the back of it, doing exactly what he wanted to do. Now, can Catmarjo dodge this swarm grenade? He absolutely can do. Almost getting the head of Sam, but instead the fight goes the other way. And again, it's down to Sebroff and Tango. We've seen them do it before, but I'm not sure they're aware of this flank. Sebroff does get the cleanup on the flank in the end, and it's left down now into a 2 versus 2. Tango and Sebroff trying to get as much of their utility out, clear as many angles as possible, but this fight is probably in the favor, realistically, of Owen and Sam. However, they do a great job in double swinging the same angle together. It's down to Owen now versus Sebroff in a 1v1, but this time it's Owen to win out the round for the RAF. We've got a couple of nice punches going on here.
I don't know what's going on. Both chamber ultis are wasted, to be honest with you. I mean, have we seen one a kill secured?
No, not at all. No, but that'd be far too entertaining for people to actually see the most useful and most effective weapon in the game being used. Instead, we're actually seeing some good fundamentals. You've got the players peeking together. They're trying to get on the same angle at the same time, so they can make every single fight that they're taking one that is in their advantage.
We see it time and time again now, but the repicks and the refracts coming in from both teams, and there isn't many instances where there's a kill that doesn't go untraded.
What a recon dart there from Tango. He spotted pretty much all of there, and Catmarjo's already on the flank here. I'm not sure whether the RAF team can expect this, but they are about to execute onto the side. You've got XC and Crosanthia coming out. You see a really strong setup here from the defending team. See if they're able to capitalize on it. Absolutely not so far. The RAF are sweeping away the defenders on that B site. And now it's Catmarjo, not able to find any value on that flank shoot. It's also coming back through main. Him and Nolex seeing what they can achieve. Nolex does have that flash on him. He is probably going to just chill here, just wait to see if he can pick any of the RAF players off. Again, they're on an eco, they're just trying to do as much economic damage as possible.
One enemy remaining.
Catmarjo gets caught off, and it's Nolex with 5 to get with a frenzy, 35 HP. Does give away his position. I think they are going to hard clear him here. They should know they're here, and yeah, there you go. Owen to clean up the round. One of the first to get one of the early picks, and he's the last to get the last.
Yes. And a flawless round there from the RAF, and they'll put them in good stead to take the lead. And there's a Evo 1 round.
Absolutely 5-4. You can see Owen really strong on the chamber so far, going 10-5. We haven't seen them bring out the operator on attack. But more importantly, we haven't seen the operator come out on defense. The army team haven't really won enough rounds or built up a solid enough economy to be able to invest into that yet. Something that I really think is going to be a bit of a win condition, considering how the RAF are attacking in these packs. Picking off one of these players really early.
I cannot
really
use
strong.
that.
Again, they find 3 with one of their reveals. They know where this pack is, and we can start to see the players towards A and mid clearing out their angles. They know they've got a bit more space in front of them to take control of.
And now we see will we see a bit of a quicker flank? Perhaps they're coming in?
I wouldn't expect so. I think if you look at the utility that the RAF have got on their flank, there's not much that the army team can really do. But you've got Catmarjo and Nolex here. Probably going to face the fight short here, considering where the pressure is coming in from the RAF team. The flash from Nolex comes out. You can hear the comms here. Peek off me. Mundo's in a really strong position here to potentially get in behind if the RAF team doesn't find anything towards short. It looks like they're going to try and pivot here towards a bit of a split through towards B from Market. Catmarjo's found the perfect timing for the Gunner Kez with a fantastic trade. Now, down to potentially Sebroff. He's able to use his Nightmare to actually to lay that push. And I'm not sure Tango's
30
going to expect
seconds
this
left.
push in towards the spawn here instead. This is a great little reaction from the RAF team. They're going to go here as a pack, but they've only got 20 seconds left. Sam able to take off Tango's head. And now, by the looks of it, the spike's going in the wrong direction. But now they're finding the right direction. They're off back towards the A site. They know it's free, but I'm not sure how much time they've got left.
A little
10
bit lost
seconds left.
on the team of the RAF, leave the navigation here to the army, and you know, maybe they can secure this back, but the spike will go down and a 3v4 situation. A retake about to come in here from the army, but obviously expected.
Expected now, but unfortunately Nolex with a bit of an overpeak, a little bit too eager there, and he's been cleared out too early, and now realistically the army team are forced with probably the obvious option here just to save what weaponry they have, try and get some sort of a buy into the next round and take this next rifle round off. So it's going to end up here 6-4 with the RAF team in the lead, attacking. This is strong, to have 6 rounds attacking on Ascent against a team that has a couple of decent setups, that knows how to react somewhat well. This is promising. I don't think this is going anywhere near the way that their previous map yesterday went, that's for sure. The RAF are out for revenge.
They are indeed, and as they said in the chat, that you know, now is the time for the Reapers to reap.
Absolutely. Now we can see here that the army team are able to buy a couple of rifles here. They've got the 2 they saved over. They're going to invest 1 and at least give themselves an option to buy 4 rifles or more next round. So again, this will be a sort of a half-buy round. It's not quite as much of an eco. They'll try and make similar sort of plays where they'll get themselves the advantage early, but they have to force that now.
And a half-buy, perhaps a wise decision here. RAF picked up quite a lot of rounds, and they need to do some damage to that economy.
We can see this stack again. This is what the RAF really conditioned the army team into well at the beginning of the half. They took their A main, they applied a lot of pressure, and then they started to hit out of it. They showed that their A main presence was a real threat before they then, later in the half, started to swing back towards sort of A main takes and then fakes and hits back towards B. Now they're doing exactly that. They've applied that same pressure, and they're just going to stack down into mid. So it's going to be all on Catmar Joe here. He does know that there's at least one chasing after him. Now he comes in, and he's not going to be able to get out of here alive if everybody is able, on the RAF team is able to pinch in towards him. And now Tango and Sebrov drop back into their reliable setup, and let's just see how much they're able to get. Sebrov does manage to find one. Nolex and the rest rotating in. Oh, it does get one. Sebrov for the second this round. Sebrov for the third, holding down the site here.
30
As
seconds
the site
left.
anchor. Left in a 2 versus 3. Sebrov with a great little performance there from backside. And can Mundo punish some potential over-aggression here?
Spike
Does
planted.
get rid of the killjoy turret. And now both
Cover going
players
out.
from the RAF drop backside. Smoked off by Mundo.
The half-buy coming in clutch here. The 2v2 situation, unexpected here for the RAF. U2 will go down, and the army now just trying to push their way back in. The blind goes out, and it looks like the army might get one pick. Rondo with 2, Nolex clearing out the site. They need to get on the spike, and it will be a round for the army.
Not one that we expected them to win at the beginning, that's for sure, considering the lack of weaponry they had. But it was a great little performance from Sebrov there at the backside. He did have one of those rifles. As I said, it's not
Last round
exactly
in
the
the
same as a
half.
full eco, a full half-buy. He had the Vandal,
I can buy for you.
equal weaponry to those that he was taking the fights against. And he won his 1v1 3 times in a row.
But Pal, the real question is, will the stats change when it's switched to the attack?
So
Do you think the army will be able to take a more effective attack round than it was defense?
if they follow the defaults they were given from their coach, then yes, I would hope so that they'd win quite comfortably on attack. But let's see how they fare after we get through this final round of the first half. A lot of utility being invested in towards A main here, but Catmar Joe, great little reaction with Sebrov here. They've felt that pressure towards A main, and they've taken B main as a reaction. They now know there's nothing there. They can leave Sebrov posted up, and they're going to expect this hit in towards A site now. Mundo looking to potentially get a lot of damage done here, but he gets spotted out and completely obliterated. Nolex has left him on the site. And And then after the 4v5, first blood again going away of the RAF.
Spike
A key
planted.
member of the army now down. There's a 5v4, and the RAF with a bit of an advantage here.
Absolutely, they've got a huge advantage. The army weren't able to really burn any of the RAF's utility before they were able to get onto the site. So as you can see from the minimap, we've got flashes available. They've got swarm grenades on the spike already. There's not much the army can do other than try and spam through the floor of hell. And that gets the first. Cat Mojo then gets the next two. Tango gets the fourth. And it's all down to just this one poor man, Sam, with a swarm grenade on it. And he's saving in the last round. So I don't think he wants to contest this too much. Not really much point in saving as we are now going into half-time.
Calculated.
But the army team seems to have failed to defuse the spike.
Switching sides.
Are you as confused as me?
Not quite sure how they've gotten away with that. I think there may have been more swarm grenades on that than we could perhaps see on the minimap. But regardless, had Sam with a 1v4 clutch with just his utility doing the work and the time doing the rest.
I'm still shocked.
Yeah, I've got no idea what's going on.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing. I'm
So
out.
now we get to swap sides. Now we get to see what the RAF have got on their defense. They've had a really strong attack side. Ascent, normally a map that favors the defenders. Let's see whether they can keep up that advantage.
Did they give them the round? I'm so confused.
Maybe the army team are just really confident that their attack's really strong. We'll
Perhaps.
see exactly that coming out now. Smoke comes in on short, and Sebrov using that Prowler to clear up towards mid. The Recon Dart does exactly that, and clears Owen out. Recon's Owen out of position. Just getting missed on that knife, actually, as the main pack of the army team going as 5 here in towards the B site. They're able to clear out the turret, and they can start to tell that there's not much resistance left on this side. No legs close to getting that first blood. But Sam's going to get a long, long way away from there, and Gunnar Kez is going to hold his retreat.
Spike
C4
planted.
coming through here. Owen, the man of the moment here for the RAF. So far, looking to try and swing. And you've got a 5v5 retake with all 5 players on the side. No, let's get caught out here. And at the moment, it's a clean sweep from the RAF team, and they do pretty much exactly that the whole way through. Sebrov is able to find one before he's traded by Omen. And there we go. A very, very strong retake. 5 versus 5 from the RAF. 8-5. We expect them now to probably win this anti-eco, to take it to 9-5. And it's going to be a bit of a tough comeback potentially for the army team if they can let their opponent start to run away with the next couple of rounds. So we'll see what the army team do here. They know they've got less weaponry. They know they're just on their pistols. You're likely to see them try and stack up, try and gain an advantage through just their numbers. If they haven't got it in terms of the space they can take, they haven't got it in terms of the weaponry they can bring to the firefight, they're going to try and make the most of the fact that they can overrun and outnumber some of these RAF defenders here.
Revealing area.
Now, we can see here that the army team have done exactly what the RAF team had done previously on their attack. They've taken this A main pressure. But the big difference is, what they've done here is they've sort of cut noise. They're getting a bit of information. They're baiting out a bit of util. They haven't made the RAF team aware of exactly how many are here. Now the slight hit comes in. No legs with a great flash. Cat Mojo with his own, but now they're sort of getting cleared up. The difference in weaponry is really making a lot of a difference in this round. Okay. There you go. Exactly the result that we were expecting after that. The superior weaponry of the RAF team, able there to give them a significant enough advantage in those fights for them to win out the majority. The army team did well. Nice little entry off the back of a pop flash through the smoke.
Now they're going to regret handing off that.
Now here we see, we've got the bonus round. So we've got the RAF with a lot of the weaponry that they saved from the last round. They're not trying to invest too much more than they need to.
Revealing area.
And we should see this round go the way of the army team. Now we've gone for exactly what we're expecting here. They're doing a really strong mid default here. They're sending 5 in towards mid. They're clearing out Peter. But we can see the reaction coming in here from the opposition. They've cleared out all of A main. They've cleared out all of A short. And that alarm bot's not gone off in B main yet. they're controlling the space that they're giving the army really, really well. This smoke is perfect. It makes it so much more difficult to push out. Nixie has got a great little flank on. Mundo does manage to get the trade, and a lot of it's going to come down here to whether Chrysanthia can actually try and find a pick. Catmar, Joe, and Tango looking to try and take some space out the back of this smoke in towards CT. Chrysanthia has given up that space. I'm not sure whether Owen's going to expect this. Absolutely not. Catmar, Joe able to get the pick on his opposite man and turn it into a 4v3. They've got the advantage, and now they're going to try and collapse in towards B. Chrysanthia going to have to take this fight 1v1 with a Tango here.
30
Sam
seconds
holding
left.
backside. He's going to have a lot of work on his hands here. Only the specs are in them, and he does manage to pick up one. Now let's see how much more he can get. He does get the second, however Mundo gets the trade in. It's going to be down to Gunnar Kez to see if he can pick off Mundo before the spike plant comes in. Sephiroth does get the trade, and now you've got Chrysanthia with only 5 HP remaining. They've got the advantage in terms of time. Sephiroth isn't able to get the spike on time, and they're going to win this round out just by that alone. The time isn't enough. Sephiroth isn't able to get the spike plant, and the RAF are able to win their bonus rounds.
They are indeed. That's going to be a cost for the army. They gave away that first round, or the last round of their defending, and yeah.
That's a crucial round to win for the RAF. It's going to bolster their economy incredibly, incredibly well. And it just means that this round, it's sort of going to be one that's in their favor already. So we can see here from the scoreboard that actually the army team, they're not really able to buy up much. They're looking to potentially force up on at least one player with Catmar Joe, because he's going to try and build towards his ultimate, I imagine, the tour de force later in the next round. But this mid default starts to come out now. You can see the spike's been left towards A main. Looking to take a bit of space here, back towards market, continue this conditioning. Owen versus Catmar Joe, that's a chamber diff right there. And now we'll see whether Ixie can try and get this fight. He does, and the first 2 bloods go, and possibly the third go the way of the RAF.
Seabob trying to get that pick, but is unable to secure it. Tango's going to trade out, and he will go down at the cost of the army. And one Seabob's good. Third for Icy. Oh my goodness, that's not what they wanted from the mid.
Absolutely not, but Nolex is able to get at least one from this round. Again, this is one of those eco rounds. They're only looking for economic damage realistically, and then anything else is a bonus on top of that. Now, as we cycle through these players, we can see them all holding their own angle. This is interesting here because all of the RAF players, they're playing very isolated from one another. Now that Nolex has picked up this Vandal, he does have the spike. He could potentially take 4 1v1s here. And knowing this man, he could potentially win all 4 of them, but this time, he's met his match. Owen going 17-9 so far on this chamber. Seems to be the difference between the two. Getting a lot of these opening first bloods, doing a really, really good job of at least denying that mid-presence that the army team are going for. Now we'll see whether the army team actually try and change anything up here. Their mid default's not working too well. They're not able to react particularly quickly, or at least take the pressure that the RAF defense is trying to give to them without losing 1 or 2 players.
No, 2 rounds for victory for the RAF. And we'll see Icy in mid again, trying to hold that peak.
But Catmar Joe looking to play off the back of his Aldrone here and pick up his orbital, even one off of his tour de force, which given the economy that they have and the buy they've gone for, this is exactly the buy that they were trying to aim for. The rest have got rifles, he's 1 orb off his ultimate, and that's what they're going to try and go for, despite the fact that he's got lesser weaponry. Now, Sephiroth and Tango trying to find a bit of space and apply a bit of pressure outside of B main, try and pull a rotate away from the A side, and that smoke has done exactly that from Mundo. We know now that Ixie has to commit to that rotate, and in order to find the information, Chrysanthia is trying to clear through short, and they've confirmed that no one's now coming up short. So they know, along with that 0 point, that no one's going to be in A main, but Nolex with a nice little bit of return of utility. Showing a bit more presence there towards A short, and is able to get the pick up on the mid-rotating player. And now we can see the rest of the team pushing out of B main. Hopefully Catmar Joe here to get the first kill. Joe, shoot him. There we go. He finally actually manages to land the kill without realizing, I think, who he was actually looking at.
30 seconds left.
Set themselves up here into a 5 versus 3. The Army have done a much better job here of playing a slightly slower round than they were going for, but this time with a change of focus towards the mains, and they've managed to get the result of the back of it. Mundo commits the From the Shadows, I think, for the content here more than anything else, and it doesn't end up working out for him. K'Santhia is able to pick him off before Nolex gets that trade back in. But it is a round, Ace.
It's a much needed one in the side of the Army.
Absolutely. So they've got 5 rounds to make up the deficit. Now they're back in with rifles. If they win this one, they've got the tour de force at the same time. They've got this KO ultimate. If they're able to make use of both of these to try and get themselves an advantage, at least onto the site without losing that many players, they could potentially hold a really strong post plan and win out this round, forcing their opposition onto the ego, potentially winning the next as well. Here we can see they've scrapped the default. They've scrapped mids. They're going back towards more towards what the RAF was going for. A heavy stack in towards A main. Nolex and Mundo and Sebrov moving up here, looking to get Sebrov's ult, so now they have 3 pretty crucial ults, 2 of which, both on Nolex and Sebrov respectively, can be used to execute onto the site really well. I think this is exactly the plan. The skill in what they're doing here is they've stopped making any noise. They've showed that they've made presence here, it's forced out a smoke from the defense, and now they're just cutting noise. They're forcing the RAF team to look for some information. K'Santhia doesn't know what's on the other side of that smoke, but now they're probably going to get some sort of an idea as the first smoke from the Army team comes in. Icy's not going to know what's coming up short until it hits them, but at the moment there's not going to be anything at all. There's going to be an absolute execute from here. Mundo, first man in, is going to be killed by Kez. However, Tango does get a nice trade. K'Santhia taken out by Sebrov, and all of a sudden we see the value of these ultimates coming out. As he does manage to drop down Nolex. See if they try and commit the revive here. Katmar Joe holding Heaven strongly, holding his angle, but no one's going to revive Nolex. So
there's a chamber up there now.
I think it's the first kill on the tour de force we've seen, I think. There we go. Katmar Joe finally gets his revenge on Owen, his opposite man, both using the tour de force. And now Sab. Revealed by that Sova recon bolt. Left in a 1 versus 3 to see what they can achieve, and I think at the moment they're just considering a safe here, and it would be a smart decision. They know they're probably going to be on an eco round this round. They want to try and gain, or have at least as much of a buy as they possibly can do. It's not going to be strong either way, but having an extra vandal in there will help it, and losing Tango to the spike could be quite crucial. Katmar Joe not happy with that from his teammate whatsoever. And Tango's going to lose a rifle for the Army team. You can see him smirking away there. He knows exactly what he's done. Now, we'll see whether the Army, considering that both teams have a strong buy, continue to try and work the mains. We saw how they were trying to default towards mid, and it wasn't really working out. So they resorted to a bit more pressure towards B main early in the round, then a bit of pressure in A main in the last round, and now it looks like they may be going back towards this mid default.
You can see the RAF return to 13-7 score.
This is really strong, so they've gone for a slight adaptation on their default here. They've taken a bit of space in towards mid, but they've also taken B main at the same time. But it looks like they're setting up towards a split here. They managed to break the door. And a lot of this is going to be on Owen and K'Santhia to try and deny this push here.
Just holding that Ed, patiently waiting.
Teleport's ready.
I'm interested to see where they start to pivot back towards A short here, because they've drawn in all of the rotations they could possibly want in towards this sort of CT market area, and it leaves both one player on either side. Owen decides he doesn't care about that 0 point. He's not bothered. He's happy to just let that tag him and delay those 8 seconds. And Katmar Joe looking to make the most off of that smoke. And by the looks of it, they are rotating back in towards A. This could be a really good call, but the rotation coming in here, been called by Galekez, I think. Galekez and Icy setting up. They know exactly what to expect here. Sebrov making his way through A main. both initiators on the army team coming in through a main, but it's not there that's going to be where the threat is coming from. Finally, the short hit actually pays off. And Catmar Joe is able to get his team back in. Left in a 5 versus 3. This time, the first bloods are going to the army team. Not something we've been seeing so far. Catmar Joe goes for a bit of overextension, but is able to find the third of the round. Owen with the trade onto his opposite man, and now we've got Cassandra and Owen left in a 2 versus 4. Smoked off. Tango here, probably going to be the first to take contact unless he can spot Mundo. He's just looking at him, and finally he's seen him. Almost able to get Nolex as well, but Cassandra does that job instead. Sebrov and Tango, the B main duo from defense. How much can they achieve here? Cassandra is able to pick off Sebrov's overswing, and now Tango with the perfect timing on his own swing is able to clutch out the rounds. 11-8, 1 round at a time. It seems the army team were back in their attack, and the mid defaults worked well for them. I'm glad.
I bet you are.
Yeah, you're right. They've been listening to what I've been telling them for the last month, so they're putting it into practice. Now, let's see whether they try and go for the same thing again. They know that it's getting some sort of value, but they also know that their options of fighting for both B main and A main early were working really quite well. So they've got a couple of options here, the army team. On the other side, the RAF, they've lost a couple in a row now. There has to be some sort of adaptation here. I think they're going to need to actually be a little bit more aggressive and start fighting for the space they were giving up. When they were taking those fights and winning them, as Owen's done perfectly there, I think just with an early swing in B main, they're winning the rounds. It seems to be that the win condition for both teams is who wins the early fights, and somehow he's managed to not get away with anything there, and Mundo's managed to get one instead. So it turns it back now down into 4v4. Tango does win his 1v1, as does Nolex. But Owen, he knows this Owl drone's coming up here. He's going to destroy it and as a result reveal his position. But it's going to be Sam who's going to face the brunt of the attacking force from the army team here. Is able to pick up one on the Catmar Joe, and now is trying to resort to using his lockdown into hell. Let's see if Nolex can actually start to challenge this with potentially any utility. Sam does get a second one for the round. He's going to have to be down to this 1v1 on Nolex. Sam with his 4th of the round with a fantastic final headshot onto Tango. And he secures the round. That's a big one. It's going to take the RAF team to match point. We saw a very, very similar scoreline yesterday in their game, and by the looks of it, it could be the RAF team time to take their revenge.
It is. Reapers are back, and they are fearless.
Hey, it's all coming down to who's winning these early round fights. If the army team can try and get some of these first bloods, if they can try and win some of these fights in towards mid, in towards short, that's going to be what's going to get them the last couple of rounds they need to bring it back to an overtime. You said you wanted overtime, they've got 4 rounds to get there.
I know, and as you can see, the early picks from, whatever team manages to get it, almost wins them around. Being 4 down that early is costly. It's very costly, especially without utility on the team.
Fantastic bit of individual skill there from Sam to actually get all 4 of those kills and use the lockdown to provide that pressure and force the army team to rush his position. But now here, we're going to see Mundo and Nolex pushing towards A main with the spike. And considering the pressure that's been put on by the 3 players in B main, it looks like it's going to be a hit in towards A here. They're going to apply a bit more pressure through mid with the drone, and it looks like it's going to end up into like an A split here. We see Owen holding exactly the same position that he was previously, but this is going to be of no use this time round. It's all going to be down to Icy, I think, here to see whether they can hold off both Catmar, Joe, and Tango pushing in through short. They do have the dismiss available if they need it. However, now they absolutely don't. Nolex with the ultimate coming in. Icy's going to have to do a lot of work here. Isn't able to get anything, but Gunakez does get his opposite man and drops the KO ult. Absolutely blind for a perfect prowler there from Sebrov, and Owen's going to try and take some space towards mid. Mundo able to get his own, and it now leaves the army in a 5 versus 2 left. 4 versus 2 now that Cassandra is able to get the trade onto Sebrov. Owen, potentially a really strong flank here. I don't think Catmar Joe's going to be ready for this.
He doesn't look bad. And he's not. Owen with the nice kill there. More of his position.
Now we see how much Nolex can get from a very similar position to what Sam was
enemy
holding for
remaining.
Owen's Tango. Now down to Owen, a 1v3. He's been the star of the RAF team so far today, but Tango with an absolute wide swing from the man. He's obviously feeling it this round, and he's able to make up for some of his past mistakes. 12-9, it's only 3 rounds to go, Ace, until you get your little dream. The Army team not ready to bow out just yet. Again, it's all revolving around these early opening picks. That seems to be the biggest indication of who's going to actually end up winning the rounds. We've seen 5v5 retakes and post plants. We've seen 1v1 clutches. All of them seem to be going the way of just whoever gets that first advantage. Whether that's a mental thing or it's just knowing that they've got the advantage and they have to change their playstyle as a result, I don't know. But Owen is able to get traded out by Catmar Joe, the opposite man. Mundo acting perfectly with Nolex to absolutely clear up this A main push. And now it's just Casanthia in a 1 versus 5. That is how you play an anti-eco, ladies and gentlemen. The Army absolutely smashing that with their default.
Are you biased? Just a little bit.
I'm happy with that. I wonder where they got that anti-eco default from. Catmar Joe finishing off the round, and Mundo looking to get that plant down for a little bit of extra money. 2 rounds to go. This one, however, is a buy round, and they won't have much more money after this for on the RAF side if they lose this. This is the big swing round. If the Army can win it, they're going to have an advantage in the bye next round, and they're probably going to take it to overtime. If they lose it, well, it's game over and the RAF get their revenge. This is it, Ace. What are they going to go for? It looks like they're going for the same sort of setup with Nolex in towards A main, Mundo towards top mid, and the other 3 playing towards B main to take control of it. It's going to be a lot here, I think, on potentially Sam and Owen, trying to maintain a lot of control here. Owen's got mid. He knows there's no threat there, but the Army team aren't too worried. They're going to have to invest a little bit of utility here, and they've absolutely smashed it with that recon dart, forcing Owen off the angle and allowing them to move in towards a potential A split. But what we see here, Icy's still in exactly the same spot, but the key players here are both Casanthia and Gunnerkez. They're set up. They're ready for this A split. Gunnerkez and Icy have got the contact on short. They've got a nice little crossfire, and Casanthia's got the utility to be able to use an A main. I want to see a little bit more pressure coming out here from the mid players, both Tango and Catmar Joe. The smoke comes in. It's going to allow them to cross, but if they end up with this A hit, they could be running into a bit of a 5v3. Not necessarily the fight they want to be taking, considering how low man's the B side is. Sam, already rotating towards CT on B. They've got the read. They know this is going to be an A hit. I think this is going to come down to some pretty big kills from Icy here. A little bit of hesitation here from Sam, but Icy again is going to be the man to try and shut down this arm of the split. The A short hit. The fade out comes through. Icy absolutely revealed, is able to break the prowl of it. Is flash now, and Sebrov is able to get that pick himself. Gunnerkez what to do on the site, but both him and Casanthia are able to get their own before Tango trades them out. Casanthia gets 1, and Nolex puts it in a 2v2, and now it's down to Sebrov, and Sam shuts it out for the RAF team. They get their revenge 1 day after losing out 13-7. And a nice little fantastic show skill at the end there to secure that. It's all GG's. They're 1-1 on the stage so far.
A great game from both teams, and it was a great effort from the RAF and Army, and now making it 1-1. Now, a rematch is going to have to be called probably after this event, but nonetheless.
I was going to say, I think that's a future stream event. I think we need to get both these teams back again to play their decider in a almost virtual best of 3. So there you go, ladies and gents. Hopefully that was somewhat enjoyable. We had some great moments of individual skill. We had a bit of tactics coming out from both teams, and hopefully a close enough result to make it enjoyable for those neutral viewers. Thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Thank you very much, pal, for coming.
It's all right. That's what I'm here for. Thankfully, the Army team have learned something from me.
Okay, guys, after the break, we will